we are going to look at obsolete jobs throughout history. Some jobs were rendered obsolete by technological advancements, others by safety regulations or a shift in social needs. The knocker-up. The knocker-up's job was it to wake people up in the morning in order to go to work in time. This profession started during the Industrial Revolution, when alarm clocks were largely too expensive for average folks and pretty unreliable. The knocker-up used a heavy stick to knock on clients' doors and a lighter, longer stick to reach windows on upper floors. Alternatively, pea shooters, blowguns, or slingshots were also common tools. In some occasions, policemen supplemented their income by working as knocker-ups during their morning patrols. This profession mostly died out by the 1940s and 1950s. However, in industrial England, it continued until the early 1970s. Ice cutting was a winter job which meant the collection of surface ice from lakes and rivers. This ice was stored in ice houses year-round as a method of cooling prior to the widespread availability of mechanical refrigeration and air conditioning. Ice cutting was mainly carried out by farmers as a winter occupation. However, during the booming years of the ice trade, Norway employed year-round ice cutters at the glaciers in the north of the country. Ice cutting and the trade with ice was a large industry in the 19th and the early 20th century. The stored ice was later delivered to homes and businesses by icemen. Depending on the demand and the location, ice cutting and ice delivery was often done by the same person. Ice cutting almost ended with the widespread availability of refrigerators in the early 20th century. Today, ice is only delivered to artists creating ice sculptures or large hotels and cocktail bars for the use in drinks. The switchboard operator. Switchboard operator was a job from the early days of telephony, when companies used manual telephone switchboards. The switchboard operator's job was to manually insert a pair of phone plugs into the right jacks, thereby connecting the caller with the right landline. The switchboard operators were often women or teenagers because the job was mainly performed as a part-time occupation and not paid well with little social recognition. However, the pay and recognition varied greatly depending on the location and complexity of the individual position. Being a switchboard operator in a small town required very little training and skill, where, on the other hand, operating a switchboard in Boston, New York City, or Paris was a far more complex task. The demand for switchboard operators started in the 1880s and ended in 1983, when the last hand-crank phone in Bryant Pond, Maine, USA, was converted to an automated system. Female operators were only paid a quarter to half of a male operator's salary. Due to the lower cost and the better performance, telephone companies preferred to hire female operators. Additionally to call connecting, they often functioned as secretaries, receptionists, and office managers in between calls. Their duties were to provide general information to the caller and directing them to the correct department. They also had to page employees or manage emergency lines for hospital, firefighting departments, and the police. The lamplighter. The lamplighter or gaslighter job was to manually light, extinguish, and maintain street lamps. Earliest versions of street lamps are documented from the 16th century onwards, though widespread use of oil and gas lamps was from the late 19th to the early 20th century in many major cities around the world. They were at the end replaced by electric street lighting. The purpose of street lights was to improve public safety, and this role remains unchanged. The occupation of the lamplighter is kept alive in some historical districts as a tourist attraction. Cities which, as of today, still employ lamplighter's are small parts of London, Zagreb in Croatia, and Waikiki, Hawaii. The pinsetter. The pinsetter was a job in a bowling center. The pin boy's job was to manually reset the pins and return the balls to the players. Pinsetters were very often young men or boys, hence the name pin boys. The first mechanical pinsetter was patented in 1941. This invention replaced the original job of the pinsetters. Today, pinsetter mechanics and technicians maintain, troubleshoot, and fix automatic bowling machines, thereby ensuring uninterrupted gameplay. Nowadays, the job is more preventative maintenance, such as lubrication, cleaning, and fixing minor jams than actual repairs.